Hello guys, Jeske from GGRecon here. Congratulations to a great match. I think you also probably believe that this is a big one because Houston is one of the stronger teams here. Now the meta is very diverse and with a lot of different comps being played. Did you have the right read on Houston, what they would be playing, or did they surprise you anywhere and did you have to adapt on the fly?
Yes. We did anticipate what Houston would be bringing out to a certain degree. And also, just to go back on what you said, we did not think that Houston would be a tough opponent. And we think the win was actually pretty smooth sailing for the most part. And then someone's answer. For Houston, they're strong, but their hero pool is quite narrow. And so I think it was pretty obvious what their options were in terms of what they would be bringing out. They're definitely a strong team, but they've always been pretty weak against us. And so we weren't really that nervous.
Sweet. Now, that begs the question. Who is a strong opponent if it isn't Houston?
Okay, Checkmate's answer first. Honestly speaking, strong team, weak team, all of that's relative. But so for us, we were kind of thinking Atlanta would be a strong team for us or a tough team to beat for us. But then they lost to the Hangzhou Spark, so I think now I changed my answer to Hangzhou. Also, one thing that we one team that was kind of bugging at us in the back of our head was London because they have their very unique rush comp. But now that they've lost, we don't need to worry about them as much anymore. So I think my final pick would be Hangzhou Spark. Someone's answer, in terms of, their innate potential and their team synergy, I think I'd pick Boston, especially when it comes to big, offline stages like this.
For sure. Now, the meta seemed to be in great flux. You had a little bit of a head start, and then we heard it was a Zarya meta. You even signed a Genji specialist based on that. And now it seems like it is much more open than it appeared to be. Can you describe the meta development, what happened in the last couple of days?
Honestly, the Zarya buff was pretty huge, so we thought everyone would be using it. But because it was so significant, all the teams were also just racking their heads on how to counter that specific comp. And that kind of just ended up stumbling into everyone finding their own little flavor of how to interpret the meta. And so now we're in this state of just, flux. A little bit of a mess, a jumble of metas right now. And then someone said, with the buff, everyone kind of started off on the Zarya Genji foot, but unlike last year's playoffs meta or the playoffs, comp, the initial comp that everyone rolled out is pretty limited and it's pretty easy to figure out. And so I think everyone just kind of found their own directions on how to take it from there afterwards.
Now, not only does the meta look diverse across the competition or the competitors, it also looks like you guys are employing a ton of different meta and archetypes. Is there not a fear that you might be diluting practice and losing focus, Why not just pick 2 comps, stick to those, instead of, running 3 or 4 different main tanks, what you did this series?
Okay, Checkmate's answer first. Well, honestly speaking, Overwatch still doesn't have an immense hero pool yet. So we don't really feel like we have, people may think we have a lot of comps, but it doesn't feel like that to us just yet. So for us, practice isn't too uncomfortable either. And then someone's answer, Overwatch 2, after the game changed to Overwatch 2, the game style's changed where if we get countered, we also have to then counter their counter, and it becomes this kind of overlapping cycle. So if we became a team that only focused on, perfecting 1 or 2 comps, once they figure out how to counter that comp, we just fall apart.
Sweet. And then as a last question, of course, you guys picked up WhoRU close to the playoffs, and it felt like the community and a lot of people inside the Overwatch League directly competing against you had a lot of thoughts and emotions about that. What nobody seemed to really care for is what the player that would likely be replaced would feel about this. So what did Checkmate specifically think about bringing WhoRU in this late?
Well, initially when we thought the meta was going to be a hard Genji meta, of course, we couldn't help but be drawn to how how much of a good performance WhoRU was showing on his Genji, even in contenders. So, you know, if picking him up meant that we'd be stronger altogether as overall as a team, and it would add fuel, like it would keep add fuel to the fire to boost us towards that trophy, I had no problems with it whatsoever.
Awesome. Thank you, and thank you, Swing.
Thank you.